Anyways, I won. I got the $10,000 prize purse, and I decided I'd give it to the Calgary Drop-In Center for a lot of reasons. But it was meeting and hanging out with a lot of homeless people that week that kind of spurred that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Airdrie Inside. I am your host. I am here at the beautiful Rival Acts Center here. Again, if you haven't been out here, the renovations to this place are absolutely fantastic. There's a stage, there's meeting rooms upstairs, and of course, more importantly, there is a full service bar right here to the right of me. So make sure you're coming to check it out. I am super excited because I have known our next guest for a very long time. He makes me feel very old, but very young at the same time. Christian Hudson, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
So,
that makes me feel old too.
We go back a long way to your Bantam football career.
Yeah.
The 2 years that I coached Airdrie Storm, you were on the team and you were a receiver for us. So welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome back to it's a different place to be back. This definitely isn't Bantam, but it's nice to be back in your presence.
It's funny, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's football, whether it's podcasting, I keep coming across the Hudson family. So
Oh yeah, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, they're a good breed, good punch.
So other than football, you are a recording artist and a rising star in the Airdrie music scene here. So tell me a little bit about how you got started playing music.
George Mack's the guitar program. They had a guitar program that I think Mr. Sandman ran, and my parents wouldn't let me join it. They I'd beg them for a guitar, and they sort of saw that it was a trend. I think they saw ahead of that, and so through depriving me for a couple of years, that really just fueled the
fire.
The fire. So when I finally got my hands on one, and they were right. So many of it really was a trend. There were a lot of people who just kind of picked it up and put it back down, but it seems to have stuck because we're going up on 12 or 13 years with me and the guitar now.
Right.
But then right out of high school, it was just open mics all the time. Yeah.
And then you made some national headlines, and I'm sure you love talking about the same thing all the time, but I want to talk about it a little bit here because I thought it was an incredible story. So talk to me about the Stampede.
Right, the Stampede. So then I went into the Stampede Talent Search, the Stampede Talent Show when I was 19, and hung out downtown a lot, hung out with some interesting characters, met some of the homeless folk who weren't what I thought they were. I don't know what I thought they were, but they surprised me in a good way. Then I won, surprised to lots of people, surprised myself.
Not to people here in Airdrie, but...
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
My mom was surprised. But... yeah, won that, and then I got the headlines. I'd actually say international headlines. Not that it really blew up anything extraordinary, but there was somebody sent me. It was a paper in London that wrote about it. But anyways, I won. I got the $10,000 prize purse, and I decided I'd give it to the Calgary Drop-In Center for a lot of reasons. But it was meeting and hanging out with a lot of homeless people that week that kind of spurred that. So gave off the money. That kind of triggered the next step of catching the eye of some music industry people. So, but that's the big claim to fame. That's the big story. The 19-year-old gives up 10 grand and yeah, not something you hear every day, I suppose.
It was funny because in the circles I run in football-wise, so everybody who knew you from that is like, that is a Christian thing to do. That is a Christian Hudson story, and we could totally see how that came around. So we were all very proud of that, to see you make such a great gesture. You had mentioned something, though, that I want to pull on a little bit. You said some of the homeless people that you met surprised you.
Yeah.
What surprised you about them?
Just how likable they were, I suppose. Billy Badlegs, this guy with just in a wheelchair, popping wheelies. The small talk, just the the slap in the face that it was kind of like, these people can't just go get a job. It's not that simple of get a job, but it is simple enough if you can just sit and have a conversation and relate to somebody and be like, oh, I guess I really would be in your shoes if I'd gone through your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think until you actually meet people in that situation, you think it's as simple as just pull your bootstraps up and get to work, and it's not. No. And so it was great for you to highlight that. And then let's talk about your musical journey since. So what did that do for you, and what doors did that open?
Right. So from there, the letter about it, the newspaper article in London catches the eye of Raghav Mathur. Raghav, he's a Hindi Calgarian pop artist who started running his own label, and he saw a little news article about a guy from Calgary, his hometown, and he got in touch with the guy I was working with, my manager at the time, Peter Kaz. And we'd recorded some songs. We sent Raghav all these songs, and Raghav looked through 5 or 6 of them, and he kind of went, oh, garbage. Oh, this one. And he was really, really in love with Four Leaf Clover, which is funny because he was really the first big advocate for it, maybe out of the 5 or 6 different music industry people who'd looked through the catalog, the music at the time. He was so passionate about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't. I just had this collection of songs and just thought, like, I don't know what's good. You tell me. And he was very, very passionate about it. So he got the wheels turning for that. That blew up and kind of became a bit of, I call it a national hit. It became a gold record, a Canadian gold record. And I got to do some touring, got to open up for some artists that was nervous to meet, very excited to meet. Scott Hellman I was already a big fan of him ahead of time. Ruth B was kind of a little idol too, and to actually shake hands and have them know my name before we even, like, it wasn't just as a fan, but to have, that was more so the case with Ruth B. Ruth B was, we could be friends. We could be friends. Yeah, we could be good friends. Yeah,
that's great. And so fun. That took you across Canada?
Yeah. The first time that I went, not coast to coast, but Montreal to Victoria, was opening up for an Australian guy named Kim Churchill. He's an Australian folk artist, and he just let me tag along.
Right. So what's the life on the road for a Canadian music star?
Music star. Well, when you're doing it my way, which has always been solo, it's a lot of alone time, and it's a lot of downtime, which I like, as opposed to a really, really crammed schedule. So a little on the lonely side sometimes, but there's always more than enough room for introspection and creation. I really need the solitude. I can't write a song in a room full of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. We were talking before we got on camera about our approaches to life are slightly different. I like to be insanely busy with a lot of things coming at me, and you're more kind of introverted.
I love an empty schedule. I love to look at my calendar and be like, wow, 3 days of nothing? Like,
how long does it take you to write a song?
Depends on the song, but if I'm realizing that it's best that if you start, you just finish in the same session.
Yeah.
Polish it up. To polish it up will definitely take a week or 2.
Right.
Now, is it really best to get it all down?
Pen and a pad? Do you use a computer? Your phone?
Now we're really getting into the variety, because sometimes it's lyrics first, sometimes it's music first, sometimes it's written, and sometimes it's just phrases that have marinated over chords and a melody in my head for long enough that it's like whatever sentences stick after months of just recycling it through your head, those are the lyrics, regardless of whether or not they make sense.
Right.
It's kind of just what stays. Sometimes it is pen to paper. I love it when it's not. It really just feels like this was the most organic process that it could have been, because there's this thing I've coming across called I'll label it myself as Swedish writing. It's the idea of I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. I Want It That Way isn't really about anything. If you analyze the lyrics, it's more just about making it phonetically smooth, just making phrases that are vague and sound good.
I never thought we'd be talking about Backstreet Boys today, but that song has an incredible history because they rewrote it. And there's a version out there of what they thought was more sensible.
A coherent story.
Yeah, and when you listen to it, you're like, this isn't right. This isn't.
It hurts your ear a little.
It hurts my ear a little bit. But it's fascinating how that song was written by a guy whose English was a second language.
Yeah, Max Martin. And so that's kind of the same idea when I'm writing without the pen and paper, that sort of smoothness kind of finds itself.
Yeah. So I love music. I've been a DJ for a long time. I've never had any talent when it came to playing or singing, so that's why I never got there. But I'm a huge Prince fan, a huge Tragically Hip fan. Who do you look up to in the industry? Where do you look to for inspiration from an artist's point of view?
When I was probably 15 or 16, it was right about the time that it was right before Ed Sheeran became a household name.
Yeah.
And he had his first album out, his first big album. And so it was a friend in computer class at school who showed me some Ed Sheeran. And I was like, oh, this has caught my ear. And then I just listened to him all the time doing homework. And then he really set the stage for impressed the idea that you can just be one guy.
Yeah.
Granted, in his case with a loop pedal, but I, copied that too. But yeah, you can just be a normal guy, nothing flashy about you, no cool Justin Bieber dance moves, just the guy and the guitar, not even, Hollywood handsome, just an average looking guy with a great voice, great writing talent, and nothing wild on the guitar either. He's no John Mayer. But he's just got all the basics down so solid, so rhythmically tight that it's just so inspiring to see that all you really need are the basics, but you need the basics first. Good. Yeah. And you need, if you have really, really polished basics, that'll keep people happy, that people will stay entertained.
It's going to be, my wife listens to every one of these episodes, and she is a diehard Ed Sheeran fan. She's from England. Yeah. And, it's weird to think back then that Ed Sheeran was just a guy with a guitar before he was famous. Now he's one of the biggest stars in the world. Yeah. But there was a time where he was playing bar rooms and the same kind of venues that people starting out play. It's just a fascinating journey, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's crazy that he still is just a guy with a guitar so much of the time. One of the things I've heard him say is at this point, I expected them to be like, all right, you need a full band now. Full time, you need a full band. And I thought, all right, not this level. When I get to this level, when I get to playing stadiums, when I get to playing, giant festivals, but at every level, they're like, well, you can just keep doing what you're doing with the loop pedal. And now he does do that full band stuff sometimes, but
it's not his core.
It's not his core, and he's still versatile enough to jump between both, and he's clearly demonstrated that you can fill Wembley Stadium over and over and over again just as one man. And he's kind of, last time I checked, he's the only person to have done that, just the one-man show for a stadium.
Yeah, just a trailblazer. I heard an interview with Ed Sheeran the other day. He was talking about his inspiration for Castle on the Hill and how he listened to Bruce Springsteen's The River and decided he wanted to write a song like that about where he came from. And so just fascinating that artists can take inspiration from other artists that way and get inspired. So that's really cool. So Ed Sheeran, is there anybody else that really stuck out for you growing up?
These days now, growing up, I'm not sure, but I'm really in this. I'm actually genuinely a big fan of people around here. It's really hitting me how the only separation between the local guys and the big guys really is the money and the opportunity and the who you know. That if you put a lot of these A-list celebrity singers in the room as some of these local singers, that it'd be hard to actually pick a better singer. Like the talent is, but there's Airdrie itself is a special in that talent show. Going back to the Calgary Stampede Talent Show in 2015, they said there were like 300 people from all across Canada who auditioned. I think 60 got into the contest. The podium, the 4 people who made the podium, right, first, second, third, and an honorable mention. I think 3 out of 4 of them were all Airdrie.
Yeah.
And Celine, who's just the new one in she's in the Airdrie Life magazine now. I love the way I love that Airdrie. That's the other. So it's this reciprocating thing of not only does Airdrie have a surprising amount of talent for its size, and I mean that genuinely, like relative to other places, there's something special. Not to just be cocky. There's like, we lucked out in the lottery. But it's reciprocal in that we've got things like Airdrie Life that will put us on magazines and keep that, because that's what fuels, acknowledgement. If you go too long without acknowledgement, you really do just burn out and go like, does anyone care?
Well, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast and use a visual medium to lift up some of the voices we hear in Airdrie. It's not just the music scene.
Yeah.
It's our entrepreneurs. It's the business scene. It's the sports scene that's taking off. There's so much good things happening in the city. Yeah. And there's not a lot of spotlight being put on that. So we wanted to add this show to kind of go with that. Airdrie Life has been doing such a great job for so long with the print version of it. So we wanted to kind of take it to a different medium and get it on audio and get it on video here. So that's great. It's great to lift up those voices.
I'm so glad you're doing that, because I love watching podcasts. Well, I love watching Theo Vaughn. I love watching Theo Vaughn, and I just think like, I'm so engrossed. I'm entertained, and all I'm doing is just watching a guy talking to a microphone. And this has captivated me. But of course, his brain, if you haven't watched Theo Vaughn, his brain will keep you entertained.
Well, for me, what I like about this particular form of media is you can actually spend as much time or as little time as you want. Mm-hmm. So if you're having an interesting conversation, you can actually flush it out, as opposed to, hey, we only got a 5-minute segment. You're on the air for a minute, and so we get to say, hey, Kristen's from Airdrie. He's going to sing a song for us. This way we can actually get to know people and get to know the story behind it. And I think when you know the story behind something, it's so much richer. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's so much easier to attach emotion to something when you know why and you know the background. Where do you find inspiration for what you write?
First thing that comes to mind is my favorite writing experience I've had in the last little while, which is I've got this. It looks like a 70s camper van. It's actually a 90s, but it looks very 70s. It's burgundy. It's gold. It's kind of got this Iron Man thing going on. But I bought this camper van, and I've taken it out into the woods a few times. But just one particular day where I was traveling through BC, and I was around Penticton. Yeah. And I found some crown land that was way up on a mountain, and just parked on the edge of a cliff. Totally alone. I, slept there last night, woke up, decided I was going to spend the whole day there, sleep there and drive the next day. And so I just got out the guitar, and just to be completely alone all day, to have nothing else to distract you, no service, I'm pretty sure. Right. And then just to pick it up without any pressure and be like, I don't care what's coming out of this. I'm not here to write a song. I'm just here to mess around. Then messing around, and you find something catchy by accident, and it's like, all right, let's keep going down this, just mumble over it, hum melody, and gradually have the song present itself kind of through a subconscious therapy. If you just get into that mumbly state, like a thing that I'm starting to do now more and more is appreciate old blues, the original blues musicians like Robert Johnson. I've got a friend who's getting me into that, and how so much of the blues for these guys is just therapy. They're not out to make the most clever thing or something catchy. They're not really thinking about their audience or something. They're just singing the blues, man. They're just wailing. They're just, crying like, my woman left me. You can just repeat that line 3 times and do it over a 12-bar blues. And So that kind of process of looking back and I write and I realize I'm kind of guided by assonance and alliteration and just like the repetition of sounds and making it kind of have a bit of just making the sentence sound fun.
Right.
But then what happens a lot is I'll look back at it retrospectively and go like, oh, I was kind of just writing weird, vague, cryptic sentences, but this is actually about some struggle, some problem I'm processing vaguely. You realize afterwards, looking at the sentences, and it's like, oh, I guess I'm kind of doing my own free therapy here, processing these ideas without realizing I'm processing them, and it's a productive way to deal with your problems, I would say.
Well, like I said, I love all music, but in my house, I play a lot of country music, much to my wife's dismay. But I love the specificity of country music and how certain artists can really convey the sadness in the moment and really give you that real moment that they're going through. Just some tremendous music out there. So I'm glad you talked about the free therapy, because it seems like you get to know some of these artists and what they're going through their music.
Yeah.
We had Willie Snipes, former coach of yours, on.
Actually, I don't know if he was ever.
I think there was a little bit of crossover with the Raiders.
Okay.
But he said, if you really want to get to know me, listen to my songs, listen to my music, and that's a really good way to get to know me. So I would love it if you'd play some songs for us. We have your guitar here, and I've heard you play many times, but I'd love for our audience to be able to hear it as well. What do you have for us today?
I've got a new one. So I'm hustling a lot more than I have in previous years. As far as the biggest shame with 4-Leaf Clover, with the big hit, was that I didn't have a catalog. It was the only song. It was the only song I had. So, thousands of people were coming to my Spotify page, and there was just the one song. I'm really trying to build up a thicker catalog right now. So I've released a song last month. I'll release one this month, and I'll release another one the next month. And this isn't the next one to be released. This is the next one. So you're getting the sneak a peek beyond the sneak a peek.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for playing for us.
Thanks for having me. This is I wrote this with a friend. Wherever you are, with half of my heart, I'm a wondering. Yeah, I fell apart. The sky got all dark and a thundering. So don't be long if you're able. The birds barely sing, the phone barely rings when you leave me. I'm always annoyed, I don't enjoy eating or sleeping. So don't be long if you're able. So don't be long if you're able. Don't be long, 'cause my heart's just not that strong. Don't be long if you're able. The moment you leave, my hand starts to reach for the whiskey. And all I can think is how I never drink when you're with me. So don't be long if you're able. Don't be long if you're able. Don't be long if you're able.
Man, that was fantastic.
Thanks, man.
And
Thanks.
I'm kind of speechless here. It's just seeing how you get lost in your music, and seeing how you take care of your craft is pretty inspirational.
Thanks, man.
When's that song being released? said-
It should be June. I'm gonna say June.
June, and we can find it on
June.
Spotify.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yes, sir. Yeah, lots of new stuff on Spotify this year.
Now, you said you were going on tour, so
yeah.
when are you leaving?
Beginning of May, down to Okotoks and then down through Crow's Nest Pass and all the towns along the way, Lethbridge and then Bellevue and then, anyways, all the way along southern BC, through Cranbrook, through Fernie, up to Kimberley. And I go about as far as Nelson, and then I come back and trace my way back and go up through Invermere and come back through Canmore and Banff, and that's that. So it's just little southern, western Alberta and BC, and
Fantastic.
yeah, just about a month and a half. I've got to be back for a friend's wedding. Otherwise, I'd probably stay out in the woods for longer. But
A little bit, yeah. Do you have one more song in you?
yeah, I'd love to actually kind of redeem myself a bit because I rarely sing in the mornings. I'm learning. I've got a morning voice.
No, that was fantastic, and I can't wait to hear another.
Thank you. I'll play. This is the one that's coming out April 4th. This is the one I
April
should
4th.
be
Promoting.
promoting. This is but the other one's just a favorite.
What's the title?
This one's called Seams.
Seams.
This is definitely a therapy song in terms of one that's more on the abstract end, but I wrote just thinking like, just don't think about what you're writing, just write, and then looked back afterwards and thought like, oh yeah, you're dealing with something there, hey? But anyways, yeah. Anyways, I'll play that one. Well, I got lost between the seams of all the things you'd seen in me. And I've been losing so much sleep, there's no way I'll be weak. You're an ocean soaking up my rain, and my emotions washed up in your waves. Well, I got lots between the legs, that don't mean I'm not afraid. I'm on my own time now, there's no way I'll be late. You're an ocean soaking all I made. My emotions washed up in your way. You're an ocean soaking up my sand. and your emotions soaking up this man.
Again, you leave me speechless.
Thanks, man.
That was fantastic.
Thanks. That one was fun and as smooth as I could have hoped for, realistically. In my own parameters of how good or bad I can be is like, okay. I feel enough redemption. I feel enough. Redeemed enough.
Like I said, I have chills. That was absolutely fantastic. You talked about the Airdrie music scene.
Yeah.
There are people who are going to be listening to this that are looking to you for inspiration. What advice do you have for somebody growing up in Airdrie who is looking to break into the music scene? I mean, we have so many artists right now that are coming up strong and really representing the scene well. I suspect that's going to lead to the second wave or the third wave of artists that are inspired. So what would you like to impart on them?
I'm so glad you asked because I didn't do really any preparation. There wasn't really any time. But I was hoping, I hope he asked something along those lines because I'm having a nice little mental breakthrough of it's such a common thing where you hear, the kid who says he wants to be a musician when he grows up gets told like, oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. And it's, as soon as somebody says like, I want to be a musician, everybody's assuming they're saying like, I want to be Lady Gaga. I want to be like world touring. And I'm beginning to appreciate how that might not be as glamorous. It might not, you might find yourself, if you do wind up being Lady Gaga, if you find yourself being Justin Bieber, you might also find yourself wishing you could spend more time at home. You'll find yourself saying like, I would really love to just have a 9 to 5 where I could come home to my wife every day and not fly city to city. But that's not, you don't have to make it to that to make it. Right. I've seen it. There's people here like Steve Jevney who is a big inspiration in terms of getting by and making a whole life just out of doing what I'd call local music.
Yeah.
And that the idea of planning a tour, really just the idea of like, go plan a tour sounds intimidating. But when you sit down and look at the logistics of it, it really is as simple as looking up a town, figuring out where you want to go, which direction do you want to go, where do you want to tour, figure out all the towns along that route, Google the towns and Google live music. Google will tell you which bars play live music. Most of the time there's an email. If there's not an email, there's an Instagram or a phone number.
Right.
You call, you get the email. The email can be a copy paste, right? It can be more or less the same email. You don't have to write an email every time.
Yeah.
You just have your pitch and you send out 50 emails and you hear 20 emails back. And there you go. You build your tour out of that. And just that it is so much more simple than you'd expect when you actually just do it step by step. And it is just so much more feasible and achievable than you expect.
Right.
And the most important thing, to sum up a lot of words down to, if I could just leave some short advice, polish the simple stuff.
Yeah.
All you really need to be able to do is play your basic cowboy chords, but be able to connect them, be able to play it all smoothly. You don't have to blow anybody's heads off with a Jimi Hendrix solo.
Right.
But if you can get through 30 songs smoothly, then you're ready to go. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. Yeah.
I can speak for all of the football coaches that I still talk to that have coached you and people in the community. We're so proud of you.
you.
Thank you so much for coming on this show.
Thank you,
This is a
Chris.
real personal one for me because I've been a fan of yours as a kid and now as an adult and a musician. So thank you so much for spending some time with me
I was
today.
excited to be here, and I'm glad I didn't sleep through it.
Excellent. And thank you for joining us here on Airdrie Inside. We're going to be back with more great episodes soon.